Friends, I have a real treat for you this morning. Our next guest is Dr. Stephen Soloway. Dr. Soloway was appointed by our beloved President Donald J. Trump to the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. Dr. Soloway is an Inspira rheumatologist. He is also chairman of rheumatology in Spira Medical, chairman of rheumatology in the Spira Medical System. He is chairman of rheumatology. He is also an associate clinical professor at Drexel College of Medicine and the Rowan School of Osteopathic Medicine. And in his spare time, when he is not a governor's appointee in the state of New Jersey, he is an elite athlete. And we're going to discuss all of this with him today and find out a little bit about what he does day to day to support our beloved President's Council on Sports and Fitness. The Council on Sports and Fitness encourages Americans to adopt a healthy lifestyle, and that includes regular physical activity and good nutrition. He's joined by other members on the council that include New England Patriots head coach Bill Belichick, also Dr. Oz, as well as retired bodybuilder Lou Ferrigno, three-time Olympic beach volleyball gold medal winner Misty May-Trenner, retired NFL running back Herschel Walker, and retired New York Yankees pitcher Mariano Rivera. Dr. Soloway, you're a great American patriot. We are so thrilled to have you on the show this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. And I'm still catching my breath because I just ran out of the pool doing an elite sprint to get to the phone on time.
As an elite athlete, tell us this morning. I know you have a rigorous athletic schedule. What have you done already this morning? Well, all of us were sleeping.
Oh, well, you guys were sleeping. I swam 5,000 meters. And
you also ride your bike, right?
I ride my bike a minimum of 15 miles a night.
Well, I understand as an elite athlete, you maintained this schedule no matter what. Originally I had wanted to have you on earlier, and I love that you said, listen, I keep my schedule, my workout schedule, and I'd love to come on the show, but it's going to have to be after my swim. And I just thought that was wonderful. Can you tell all of our listeners all across our great nation how important physical fitness is and what President Trump is doing to encourage the American people to adopt a healthy lifestyle, which includes regular physical activity?
So the word regular physical activity shouldn't be taken lightly. If you don't exercise 7 hours a week, an hour, 7 days a week, or an hour and a half, 5 days a week, you're not exercising. Now, if you've had 3 strokes or in a wheelchair, you can't get around, the ball changes, the tide changes. So for somebody who's handicapped, it's going to be different. Any movement may be better than no movement. But for people who are otherwise reasonably fit, starting at 18 or 21 years old, sort of arbitrary because everyone's indestructible at those ages, right, you need to form lifestyle. And it's very easy to form habits, and it's easy to form good habits. But if you don't form good habits, you do get into bad habits. So you have to, like when you get your paycheck, you put the first couple of percent into your savings account or your retirement account or something or other. So you have to divide your day up, and you have your work time, your play time, your fun time, your this time. The first time you have to do is you have to create your health time. And your health time doesn't mean that you get in front of the bathroom mirror and start taking pills for cholesterol, diabetes, high blood pressure, heart attack prevention, control, and so on and so forth. And it also doesn't mean you don't eat.
Right.
Your body's a machine. So the machine needs fuel. So you have 2 obligations to your body. You have to work it, and you have to feed it proper fuel. You have a good car, you use 93 octane. You don't care about your car, you put down watered gas.
Right.
So you need to say, you know what? I need to get my heart rate into my target heart rate zone, or my VO2 max zone, or my anaerobic threshold. And you need to do this for an hour a day, an hour and a half, 5 days a week. And that's not to say, and I'm not ignoring strength training,
Sure.
but as much hype as there is about strength training, I would say that when you run, swim, bike, and row, even though those exercises are clearly essential to live a long life, and they build up your aerobic threshold, anaerobic threshold, they allow you to hold your breath longer, they allow you to do things faster, they're also making you stronger. They're just not hypertrophying muscle to make the creation of a bodybuilder. And no, you won't be able to lift as much as Lou Ferrigno because he trains at strength. Now, he does his cardio also because he knows the value of fitness, but the average person who doesn't know runs down, gets a gym membership,
That's right.
spends 15 minutes socializing.
That's right.
They get the coolest pants you can get,
Yes.
the most sparkly sneakers,
That's right.
and they sit on the machine, they ask for a lot of help, and then they read the newspaper and go home, and
That's
they
exactly
say, man,
right.
I had a really tough workout. Yeah. When I go to work out at the pool, there's 20 of us on this master's swim team, and I'll proudly admit I'm the slowest guy in the group, but the other 19 people were either Olympians or Olympic hopefuls or whatever, but I'm also the third oldest person in the group. Right. So the guy who's 25 years younger than me, of course he's faster than me, but he's not worn out like I am because I've been doing it longer.
Right.
And I always say to him, I say, if you want to look like me when you're my age, you're going to have to do this another 25 years just to keep up with me.
That's right. That's exactly right. And how important is it to have young people, children involved in sports? And how important is it that we have our educational systems, our public school systems, really create an academic environment that incorporates physical fitness as a priority?
The initial, of course, yes, definite answer is you're obviously asking a loaded question because the answer is obviously yes.
Right.
However, I want to elaborate to say that it is equally as important, if not more important, to have seniors involved in exercise, because if you don't get seniors involved in exercise, guess what? People start to fall apart, have heart attacks, and basically start dropping dead at 50 years old. And they don't even have to be smokers. They're just unfit people.
Sure.
And when I see people in their 50s just dying, of course, sometimes they have cancer and things that you can't
Sure.
control. But when it's related to high blood pressure, lung disease, diabetes, cholesterol, these are all preventable by exercise. Now, there are people taking medicines, but the children need to form the good habit when they're young, of course. Now, the problem with children is if you overdo it on children, they get burned out. And this is especially true of elite athletes. So you have a guy who trains for the Olympics from age 13 to 18, and he's an elite athlete, and he's going to be a great swimmer till he's 100 years old, and he'll probably live to 100 because his body's already been created at that age to be perfect.
Right.
However, he's going to burn out unless he really makes the Olympics, and then there's only, there's a Michael Phelps, there's a Mark Spitz, there's a Ryan Lochte, there's a few people that are just that elite. And by the way, they are genetically blessed. Hard work goes a very long way, but if you don't have the genetics, that plays a role. And, that's something probably in 100 years we'll have the answers to. But I think it's very important and equally important to make sure that the people over 50, and I'm just using 50 as an arbitrary
Sure.
age because that's when I got my AARP card.
Right.
People over 50, they need to be swimming, running, biking, and rowing. And the national sport should change from baseball and football to triathlons. This way everybody really can participate, whether they're good, bad, or in the middle, but they have to work. It's no different than having a job and going on welfare. If you don't work, you shouldn't get free money, but if you don't exercise, you're not going to live a long life or a healthy life. You're not going to enjoy your life.
That's absolutely right. And let me get your thoughts on this. You're an elite athlete. You're serving on.
Thank you. I've never been called elite until just now, so I really appreciate that.
Well, I'm so motivated after hearing the physical activity that you maintain every day, and I know our listeners are as well. You're appointed by Donald J. Trump on the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. You're so active. I know you have an active following with your YouTube channel. Folks reach out to you and ask for your advice and so forth.
Yeah, my YouTube channel. You got to watch it. Listen, if you need a good movie, I even tell you good movies on my YouTube channel. So my last YouTube recommendation was to watch Stripes.
There you go. How can folks follow you on your YouTube channel?
Stephen with a PH, Soloway MD. It's www.youtube.com/MD. There's no dots, no slashes, no nothings.
Great. I encourage all of our listeners to follow you, ask you questions, reach out to you. But I want to ask you your thoughts on this. How do you feel as an athlete? How do you feel about so many? In recent news, we were learning about so many athletes that are refusing to go to the White House after they have achieved great victories in terms of winning various awards and so forth. They're refusing to go to the White House.
I'm going to cut you off. It's disgusting.
It
is such an honor to go to the White House. It doesn't even matter who the president is. If you're invited to the king of the castle, if you're invited to the emperor's throne, if you're invited to the best place in the world, and you refuse to go, you should probably be stripped of your title. People get stripped for Muhammad Ali went to prison for something missing military service, this, that, and the other thing. If you have, people get awards, they get medals,
right?
But to be invited to the White House, the sacred White House,
it's a privilege.
There's people that'll give their legs to go to the White House.
That's right.
So if an athlete who is paid millions or tens of millions or even in some cases hundreds of millions, whether it's endorsements, whether it's sponsors,
right,
whether it's by the team, whether it's the owner of the team who worked his life to buy $1 billion team and pay players,
that's right,
tons of money. And I'm sure there's an exception out there who's going to be critical of me, but generally speaking, professional athletes are well paid, and that's why they don't have to, play for 50 years.
That's
they
right.
play for 5 years, and they have enough money to own a country.
Right.
So if you know that you earn that money on the back of the United States government or flag, I think that's the minimum is to be proud of the country. And I would say the next minimum would be if you get an invitation to the White House, you should tell your mom this is the best honor that anyone could ever achieve, because
right,
almost nobody gets to go there. And if you get to go, you're special. Like, you need to recognize you're special. And if you have a personal grievance with how somebody in the office thinks, that's what's wrong with the country.
It's absolutely
people
right.
People don't like what you think. You can't say what you think. Go back and watch Fast Times at Ridgemont High or John Belushi. Why could they think? Why could they say what they wanted?
Right.
Why is everybody offended by everything?
That's exactly right. And kneeling during, kneeling at the flag and just having such disregard and disrespect for the American flag when so many have died for our freedom, have died for our flag, have died for our nation. I never dreamed that I would ever witness what we're seeing unfold with the complete disregard and disrespect for our American flag.
Respectfully, you're so young, you haven't seen too much, you see. Like when you're 21 years old, it's hard for you to have seen a lot, you see. An old guy like me has seen a lot.
Well, what message do you have for these? And I say athletes because they are athletes, but in my mind, they've diminished in terms of their I guess regard has diminished for me because of their complete disrespect for our country, for our president, for the White House, for our nation, for the flag. What message, if you could give them a message right now, if they could hear Dr. Soloway's message to them, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that everybody who is in a position to be a role model, whether it's a doctor, a lawyer, a policeman, a fireman, an athlete, an astronaut, you actually have a moral, ethical, and not yet a legal obligation, but like in medicine, we're held to some legal standards. But in sports, although you're not held to a legal standard, you're being paid to perform your sport and be a role model. You're not being paid to give your opinion as to who is in leadership and in power, and no one cares or should care what your opinion is of the leader.
Sure.
You should be given the knowledge, and you should make your own decisions. And these people should just continue to be role models, because the little kid who's 6 years old who loves so-and-so, and his father says, well, I'm not letting you go to the games anymore because that player is a hater. I mean, you're just destroying kids. And when they grow up, they're going to have anger in them, and they're not even going to understand why. So we need to educate, and we need to hold elite athletes. Or, when I say elite, I'm talking anything at pro level. If you have a pro athlete who can't carry on professionally, either in the public venue or wants to change the rules of America or whatever, they have two options. One, they could take up professional sports in another country.
That's right.
And, they all threaten to, but so far, we have people coming here. I've never seen anybody who's actually gotten in a caravan leaving the United States to go anywhere, nor have I ever seen somebody, rile up a big boat of people to go to another continent and move there. Lots of threats from a lot of rich people, but, rich people, and I'm far from rich. I'm a poor person, but rich people, they got beer balls. They'll say anything on the radio,
That's
anything
exactly
on TV,
right.
anything when you're not looking.
Exactly
But
right.
when it comes down to moving out of the country or respecting the flag or respecting the president, there's many presidents that I don't like or haven't liked. It doesn't matter. You still have to say the Pledge of Allegiance. You still have to stand with respect. It's our culture. Why change a culture that's the longest running democracy in the history of the world? And even though things may not be perfect here, and even though things need to be fixed, and things seem to be falling apart, and we have potholes and whatever, we need to work on fixing them. And the president wants to fix everything. And if the president has one problem, which I don't think he does, but if he had one problem, he's expecting everybody to rise to his level, and no one can, or no one wants to, or no one's capable
That's right.
of.
That's exactly.
He's at an elite level above the elite. And all he wants to do is motivate people to do the right thing. And, every now and again, you catch somebody who does the right thing. But, you have movements like football. The whole country seems to, rise and fall on who won football games.
That's right.
I mean, that's great, but it can't be how to run a country.
That's exactly right. Friends, what a privilege this morning to have Dr. Soloway on the show with us. He is an appointee of President Donald J. Trump on the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. He himself is an elite athlete, great American patriot. He loves our country, and what a privilege to have you on the show. I love your passion. I'm so inspired. As soon as I get off the show, I'm gonna run until my legs can't run anymore. I love your passion, and I know our listeners all across our great nation do as well. What's your message for the American people in terms of physical fitness? They're listening to the show. They want to be in shape. They know it's important. What's your advice to them?
Two things. First, and one is a plug for me. If you have joint pain, Dr. Soloway is America's rheumatologist. I'm the best. I'm in Vineland, New Jersey. It's worth flying to Millville Airport private to see me. Whatever's wrong with you.
And you do have countless people that fly to see you from all over the country.
All over the world. People come from other countries.
Right.
I even have a patient from Australia. I met him in Manhattan. He was limping around. He couldn't move. He couldn't get anywhere. He couldn't even leave the country. Poor guy couldn't get on the plane. He gladly on Sunday took a ride to my office, and I treated his gout attack.
Wonderful. Dr. Holloway, thank you so much for all you do. Thank you for serving in your role on the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition, and for all you do in your practice to help so many Americans that come to see you. Actually, people from all over the world that come to see you. Thank you so much. Thank you for inspiring our listeners to go out, get in shape, become engaged, make physical fitness a priority. We look forward to having you on the show again. Thank you so much. Friends, that's Dr. Stephen Soloway. He is an expert rheumatologist with an Inspira rheumatologist in New Jersey. Look him up. He's also an appointee on President Donald J. Trump's President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. This is Martha Boneta, your guest host on the John Fredericks Show.